Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. Today I'm joined here with Nick and Zach, and today we're going to be doing a little bit different type of episode for you guys. Instead of going through, the games of the week, we're going to be reacting to some of the trades that happened today because today was the trade deadline, and then we're going to be giving our mid-season awards. Um, and then as always, doing some predictions at the end. But before we dive into everything today, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at lunchtable.takes. And without further ado, let's dive into some of these trades. The trade deadline, as of time of recording, ended 17 minutes ago at 4 o'clock. And there were a couple big ones. The biggest one being Marshawn Lattimore got traded from the Saints to the Washington Commanders for a third, a fourth, and sixth rounder. So the Commanders going all in this season, getting their cornerback one, which is a huge need for them.
Marshawn Lattimore, that's huge for the Commanders. No one expected the Commanders to be 7-2 at this point in the year. None of us. I don't even think any of us predicted them to get 7 wins all season. So the fact that they're 7-2 halfway through the year is pretty wild. Their biggest weakness by far is still their secondary, and with Jaden Daniels looking like a superstar in the making, as well as the rest of that team just finding ways to win games, yeah, you got to make a push to build a contending roster. And the first piece of that is one of the best corners in football. You said a third, a fourth, and a sixth round pick. I actually think that's a pretty good deal for them. I think they won that trade with the Saints, which, granted, the Saints are a complete disaster. So, like, they're going to have to sell out their best players for bargains because that's a
They just
different
fired their
conversation.
coach.
Yeah, they just
Their
fired their
players are
coach.
also kind of aging too, so
Yeah,
they're kind of in a rebuild mode.
the Saints are a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, I think this is huge for the Commanders. It makes me, because they haven't really beaten a really good team yet, but they've got Pittsburgh this week, I think, and then the Eagles on next Thursday night. So we'll see how good this team is very quickly, because they should have lost to the Bears when they played them, if not for a miracle. But yeah, Marshawn Lattimore, huge for that secondary. We'll see if it makes them true contenders, but yeah, I think it's big for them.
Yeah, I think this was a good move for the Commanders. I kind of agree. I don't think they had to give too much up to get a very good corner. So I think it was a good move for him. Kind of a last move to make probably make a playoff push here. So good move for them. I think it was a good move for the Saints too, because like I just said, the Saints are very much in a rebuild mode right now. So it's time for the Saints to sell their guys and just acquire what draft picks they can get for them, and just kind of rebuild. So I think it was a good move for both teams. Although I was hoping that the Bengals would make a gamble for them, but the Bengals are bums. So
They got Khalil Herbert.
They made a trade.
Oh yeah, that moves the needle.
Khalil Herbert
Hey,
moves the needle so much.
at least they made a trade.
Yeah,
It's the third trade they made in 52 years. So
third in-season trade they've made.
in-season trade, yeah. But yeah, I think it's a huge move for the Commanders. Obviously, the Saints are kind of a mess right now, but for them to, I mean, the Saints got a solid package, but it's nothing like you look at and you're like, oh, like you're totally fine giving up a day 2 pick. That'll probably be late based on the way that they're playing, and then some late day 3 picks. But Lattimore, coming into the league, he was insane, and then these last couple of years, he's been injured off and on, so hasn't really had the production level that we're accustomed to seeing. But I think with a new scheme and Dan Quinn's defense, I think he can return to his level of play that he was at before. He started getting those injuries on, and he was playing at the elite level. And this is one of the biggest needs that they had. Their secondary was terrible. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes is looking like a bust of a pick. You have Benjamin St-Juste, who hasn't been very good. And really the biggest weakness on that team is that secondary, and he should be a huge part to that. Even if he doesn't play like elite level, he's still better than anybody they have in that locker room currently. And it's good to see the Commanders. I mean, like you said, Nick, they got this window with Jane Daniels, and they're trying to make the most of it. They're being aggressive. And I saw there was a report that a lot of people, a lot of players were wanting to go to the Commanders either in free agency or via trade. So Washington's on the up, and if they continue to win games, I think this move can definitely help them in the playoffs for sure. And I think definitely a good one. And on the Saints side, I mean, it's probably more just of a salary cap dump for them because they're kind of screwed. But yeah, we'll talk about them in
Not
depth
they're
probably
not
a
the
different
Saints are
time.
not kind of screwed. They are
They're
They are
done.
they
screwed.
are in the worst position of any team in the NFL in terms of salary cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right, moving on to another NFC contender bringing in a big defensive piece. The Browns traded Zadarius Smith and a seventh round pick to the Lions for a 2025 fifth and a 2026 sixth rounder. This coming after Aiden Hutchinson suffered a season ending injury, leaving a hole at that edge rusher spot, and Zadarius Smith should be able to plug that hole fairly well.
I'm trying to find his contract because I'm not sure if he's under contract after this. Yeah, he is a. Wait, no, he's under contract next year, and then in 2026 he's an unrestricted free agent. So the Lions are going to get 1 year with Zadarius Smith and Aiden Hutchinson next year. Hopefully that is terrifying for the rest of the NFC and really the rest of the league in general because Zadarius Smith is a good edge rusher. He's not an Aiden Hutchinson. He's not a complete game wrecker, but the Lions are already destroying teams, and now they just fixed the biggest weakness on their team right now with Aiden Hutchinson going down, and that was their pass rush. So even with Zadarius Smith being as old as he is and probably not really in their future plans for this season and a Super Bowl run, this was the move they had to make. And I don't know if I called this after Aiden Hutchinson went down, but I expected the Lions to eventually get this deal done because the Browns are not what we thought they could be this year, and the Lions are arguably the best team in football. So, yeah, this was also a very good move for them.
Yeah, I think it definitely is going to kind of. It's not going to plug the hole per se, but I think that it's going to definitely help him out. Because obviously he's just not even close to the level that Aiden Hutchinson was, but he'll at least be a serviceable aspect for that defensive line. And the Lions have dominated everybody they've played without Aiden Hutchinson even. So I think this is just going to give him even more of a boost.
Yeah, I mean, Zadarius Smith just 2 years ago had 10 sacks with the Vikings, and since being with the Browns, he's averaged about five. He's got five already this year. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson obviously was on a tear, was having a phenomenal season. Unfortunately, had that injury that took him out for the rest of the season. But that was really the big thing. We were like, oh, like this Lions team looks legit, they're complete, and then you lose your best player on defense, and we're like, oh, is that going to come back to bite them? Which it still could, but I think Zadarius Smith is going to be a good plug and play guy for them for this year and next year, along with Aiden Hutchinson. But for this year, to add a good edge rusher, obviously he's no Aiden Hutchinson, but he's going to be better than what they had, and he's going to continue to. They're going to continue to, play hard nosed defense like they have been, and I think definitely a good move for a team that, like you said, Nick, is one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best, and is looking to win a Super Bowl here and now. And that's the type of win now move that you want to see. And it's funny that we're talking about the Commanders and Lions making two big trades at the trade deadline to continue them as playoff contenders. It's just something that you're not accustomed to seeing.
First time in my life I have seen this.
Yeah.
It's been a while for both these teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lions are probably the best team in the NFL, which is shocking to think that. But I mean, the Commanders are.
The Lions are not just the best team in the league; they are a historically dominant team through the first.
Yeah, they put like 40 points up, like 3 of their last 4 opponents or something.
I saw this clip on, it was either Twitter or X or TikTok, one of the social media, either one of the social medias I'm on. And I think they said the only team in the last 25 years with a higher scoring margin in their first 9 games of the season is the '07 Patriots.
Oh,
So
jeez.
make of that what you will. The
Yeah.
Lions right now are a team that we will be talking about for a long time. This iteration of them, because like I don't know if we're gonna recap the Lions Packers game, but they went to Green Bay and it wasn't even close. They won by 10. It was an 18-point game until the Packers scored a garbage time touchdown. In the rain. It doesn't matter where they play. It doesn't matter who they play. They're operating on all cylinders, and they're very, very terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. They're a very fun team to watch. That's for sure.
You can't not root for them.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll probably get to the picks and stuff like that. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but I think this. I mean, it was a good trade for the Lions. I just think that this is going to propel them even more. I honestly don't think they needed this, but I think it's just going to make them even more of a dreadful
I think they
team.
did.
They've been blowing teams out without Aiden Hutchinson.
I know, but once you get to the postseason, you're playing only good teams, and when you're playing only good teams, you need a guy that can get to the quarterback. And they
did just play the Packers at Lambeau, and they beat them bad.
They did, but still, playoffs are a different animal.
It doesn't hurt.
No, it just propels them even more.
Yeah. The AFC North, they were busy today. The Bengals traded for Khalil Herbert. The Steelers traded for Preston Smith and Mike Williams. And the Ravens traded for Trey White. Which one of those moves do you guys think help the most? I mean, none of them are like huge names, but
I feel like it's
all of the AFC North
White.
teams made plays.
I think it's Tre'Davious White. I don't think Khalil Herbert, I do think, fits the Bengals scheme well with his explosiveness, and now with Zach Moss kind of being sidelined indefinitely, he's a pretty solid pass blocker as well, so he kind of fills that hole. Mike Williams doesn't move the needle for me. If this was 2019 Mike Williams, it would be a big deal, but it's not. And the Ravens secondary has not been very good this year. Tre'Davious White's obviously past his prime, but he's still, I think, the best player of the three, and he fills the biggest position of need of any of those three teams. So I think it's Tre'Davious White out of those three options.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that. I mean, I'm just gonna go on that. I'm just gonna take the Tre'Davious White one for the Ravens. I don't think that Khalil Herbert really does anything for the Bengals, to be honest. I mean, he gives you depth, but I don't think that's not what I was hoping to see for the Bengals personally. And then the Steelers, I also don't think Mike Williams really does any. I mean,
they needed a second receiver, but Mike Williams is like, okay,
not good.
Yeah, he's just like, I mean, he'll be on the field for him. I don't really know if it does much, though.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he had a career resurgence with Pittsburgh this season.
Yeah, and then, like I said about the Khalil Herbert, I just don't think that really moves the needle at all for the Bengals, personally. I don't think that was really the position of need that they should have looked at the trade deadline, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Moss is going to be out for the majority of the season, not the whole season. So now you have just Chase Brown, so he'll kind of help take a little bit of pressure off of him. But yeah, I think Trey White's definitely the biggest move from those teams. Trey White, like you said, Nick's not the guy that he used to be, but I mean, that secondary for the Ravens have been awful. I mean, they're one of the worst passing defenses in the league. And hopefully he can come in there and help with them. And I mean, the Steelers, they added a couple nice pieces, but I don't. None of the players are really going to push them over the edge. But yeah, it's good that they're making moves, but I don't think it's going to really garner like many more wins or anything. But because they got a tough road
for sure.
All right, let's dive into these mid-season awards. We're heading into week. We just finished week 9, right?
It's week 10.
We're
So we're
moving
heading into
into
week
week
Mid-season
10
10.
here.
So we are halfway through the NFL season. Um, we did our preseason award predictions. Now we're going to update them for mid-season, halfway through the year. Starting off with MVP. Who are you guys front runners for the MVP 9 weeks into the season?
I think it's really going to come down to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But as of right now, I'm going to probably just give it to Lamar Jackson just because I think the Ravens are playing at a higher level than the Bills. But I think their numbers are pretty similar. I think I saw something a day or two ago that their numbers were very similar, but the Ravens are just playing at a higher level right now. So I'll probably go Lamar.
I also have Lamar Jackson as my MVP right now, and it's not like last year where he kind of won it by default because the Ravens were the best team. He is putting up another genuinely historic first half of the season. He's on pace for 40 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 4,000 passing yards, and another 1,000 yards on the ground. That is 29. That's 2019 level Lamar Jackson again here. I also have Josh Allen. I think we need to throw Joe Burrow and Jared Goff in that conversation as well. Joe Burrow, just because his stats are marginally worse than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and if the Bengals go on a bit of a run here, second half of the year, he could very easily jump into that conversation. And then I have Jared Goff because he's been
His completion percentage is like out of this world.
he has like an 80.4 completion percentage in the past like month of the season. Like it's ridiculous. Amon-Ra St. Brown has caught 30 of his last 30 targets. It's absurd. The execution level from Jared Goff is on another level. It's ruthless. It is precise. It is surgical. I'm gonna give him his flowers. I know a lot of people won't because it's not very flashy what he does in his style of play, but he has been phenomenal. So I have Lamar Jackson as my MVP right now, once again, back to back. But it could very well change depending on how this back half of the year goes.
Yeah, I also have Lamar Jackson. I mean, you guys kind of touched a lot of it, but he's just been amazing. I mean, 20 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2,400 yards, first in QBR with a 77 rating, and he's got um, he's got the Ravens at first in their division. Only 3 losses. I mean, they've been averaging about 30, 35 points a game recently. Um, and he looks like how he looked 2019 when he was just dominating the NFL, rushing, passing. He can do it all. He's been phenomenal. And then, I mean, I have pretty much all the same guys that you have. I mean, Josh Allen's also been phenomenal. Only 2 interceptions this year, which is super impressive from him because his knock is usually turns the ball over. And he's been doing well with the team that a lot of us thought was going to regress due to them getting rid of Stephon Diggs and losing a lot of defensive pieces. And Josh Allen's kept them in contention. He's been really good. And Joe Burrow, even with this season that the Bengals have had, which isn't what a lot of Bengals fans wanted, I mean, he's still been phenomenal. 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, second in QBR, fifth in yards. He's been great. And yeah, I talked about Jared Goff a couple weeks ago and how I think he's a sneaky MVP contender. I mean, you talk about the best team in the NFL, and that's the Lions, and he's been the catalyst for that. He's got a 75% completion percentage on the season, um, and he's just been playing phenomenal. Even though that team has a lot of good weapons around him and everything, you still got to give your flowers to the guy who get them the ball. And it's not like he's making tough plays as well. Like he's making plays under pressure, making plays in big situations. So yeah, I think it's Lamar up front, and then it's like a close 2 or 3 man race after that.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think that it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the second half of the season goes because, I mean, there are definitely a lot of changes that could happen. I think if the Bengals go on a run, then Joe Burrow is firmly in the discussion, depending on how that run looks. But I don't believe that's going to happen. But it could. Jared Goff might be able to elevate himself a little bit. I just think, if Lamar Jackson's on pace for those just unreal numbers, as much as it pains me to say, I mean, he's kind of a pretty clear front runner. But Josh Allen's up there too. So I think it might end up coming down to whichever team performs the best on the back half. Because all four of those guys are pretty. I mean, obviously Burrow and Goff don't have the rushing yards and stuff that Lamar's putting up, but I think all four of those guys are pretty. Any of those four guys can win it, and any of the four of them, I think, are going to have the numbers to win it. I think it's just going to come down to whatever team is performing the best.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Offensive Player of the Year. Who's your guys' Offensive Player of the Year halfway through the season?
I think it's Derrick Henry, and any other person is wrong. I don't think this is particularly close right now.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's anyone else to even put in the discussion, right? I mean, no. Yeah, it's going to be Derrick Henry.
Maybe Saquon, maybe.
He's going to be second odds.
Yeah. He's got.
But Derrick Henry's at minus 147.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's got 100 more yards and 5 more touchdowns than Saquon does.
Although, he's first in every rushing category.
It's not. The Eagles have had their bye and the Ravens haven't, so it's actually closer than I thought it was. But I think it's also, very obviously Derrick Henry right
now. Since you're talking about Saquon, I just want to highlight how absurd was his backwards hurdle.
That was
I had never seen that before.
He tried it 3 years ago, and he got stood up. And I was like, if he could go a little bit higher, he's going to be able to clear him, and it's going to be one of the best things I've ever seen. And then he did it on Sunday against the Jaguars, and I was in awe. And I couldn't stop watching it after all the games on Red Zone got finished. I was just on Instagram, and everyone was going crazy.
Well, because he juked out a defender into a spin move into a backwards hurdle.
He rode the defender
and
like
a horse.
He
cleared the guy. Yeah, he cleared the guy.
Imagine getting hurdled and seeing the person who hurdled you look down on you. Imagine running this way, and the person who hurdled you is looking back at you. He's staring at you. He's watching you run away from him. That's absurd.
Yeah.
He had no idea whether he was going to go high or low, and he went for it anyways. I just
thought I had to put that in there.
A bunch of middle and high schoolers are going to try this over the next couple of weeks, and they're going to get.
They're going to get destroyed.
They're going to get benched.
It won't work too well for him, probably, but
So, you said Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know if there's anyone else to put in the. I can't even really think of anyone else to put in the conversation right now. I mean,
Saquon's there, but it's pretty obviously Derrick Henry.
Yeah, right Derrick Henry, 9 games into the season, has 1,052 yards, 11 touchdowns, averaging 6.3 yards per carry. He has 168 carries, so he leads running backs in basically every single stat.
Yeah,
and he's been a huge piece to that Ravens offense.
Best offense.
So he's in a tier of his own. But I also think, honorable mention, a lot lower is I think Jamar Chase has had a great season. I mean, he's first.
I was going to say Jamar Chase, but
second in yards with 717, tied for third in receptions. I mean, it's Derrick Henry's award. He's going to win it, but I think Jamar Chase has been having one of his better seasons, probably the best season he's had since his rookie year. He's been really impressive.
Yeah, I was going to throw him in the discussion, but I thought I would get absolutely destroyed for doing that, so I did not.
That's not Bengals bias. That's just
he's had a fantastic year, but it's not Derrick Henry level.
Not anywhere close to Derrick Henry. No.
Yeah. Also, Justin Jefferson is there. He's there too.
Yeah,
he's been picking up steam.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, he's always going to be elite. He's ridiculous.
Embarrassed our secondary, but grass is green. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to defensive player of the year. Who do you all as a defensive player?
I I really like I was thinking about this and like I really hate going with the betting favorite, but they're the betting favorite for a reason. I think it is TJ Watt for defensive player of the year right now. Aiden Hutchinson would have made it a conversation, and then he shattered his leg. I also thought that like through 6 weeks of the year, I thought Dexter Lawrence had a case because he was leading the league in sacks as a D tackle, which is unprecedented. But he's kind of fallen off in that the past couple weeks. But TJ Watt has 6.5 sacks. But the big thing for me is he's got the Myles Garrett feel to him where he is single handedly winning games. Like he single-handedly won the Steelers the game against the Giants, and he single-handedly won the Steelers their game against the Falcons in Week 1 earlier in the year, like Myles Garrett did for the Browns last year. So I think if Aiden Hutchinson didn't get hurt, it would be a lot closer. But right now, I'm going with T.J. Watt.
Yeah, I don't even. I'm not even sure about this one, to be honest with you. I can't think of too many people off the top of my head that have just been by far dominating.
Yeah, I mean the betting favorites TJ Watt, but then you have Chris Jones is second, Will Anderson, Dexter Lawrence, Trey Hendrickson, guys like that.
I mean, I know Dexter Lawrence has been playing really well this year. Trey Hendrickson leads the league in sacks with 11 right now. That's pretty good.
He has 11 sacks.
Yeah, he had four
last game.
Oh, well, I didn't even. Yeah, that'll do it. Here's with Trey Hendrickson though. It's like, in the Bengals games I've watched, it's like half of the time he is a force in the backfield, and then the other half of the time he's invisible.
Yeah,
like, he has no impact at all. Whereas with guys like a T.J. Watt and a Chris Jones and a Dexter Lawrence, like you feel their impact on like 80% of snaps, even if they don't have an impact on the play. You know that they're there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just hop on the TJ Watt train. I don't even. Yeah, the defensive player of the year is that one's kind of stumping me a little bit. I have no. I don't know. Like no one's really been like other than Aiden Hutchinson, but he is out for the year unfortunately. But other than him, I can't really think of anybody that's just been like dominating at an unreal level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean TJ Watt's obviously an animal. He's been insane, so probably go with him. But I mean Dexter Lawrence, like you said, Nick, I think he's been one of the best defensive tackles in the league this year. I mean 9 sacks is unreal. And then Trey Hendrickson, he just got up to 11 sacks. But yeah, Trey Hendrickson's kind of like a player where at the end of the season, you look at his sack totals, you're like, oh, he had like 15, 16 sacks. Like that's impressive. But you're like, I didn't remember him like getting that many sacks because he has games where he has like 3 or 4, and then games where he like has 0.
Yeah, like the Commanders game where he was just
all.
completely invisible until the last drive for the Commanders.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out Xavier McKinney. He's coming from the Giants to the Packers. He's leading the league in interceptions with 6 at the safety position. He's been really impressive.
That's pretty dang good
for that defense. But he's probably not really in line to win. But there's a lot of great defensive players.
Yeah. Brian Branch has had an unreal second year too for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously like Fred Warner's been playing insane.
I think Dexter Lawrence has definitely been the best defensive tackle. He's definitely made an impact this year. So, I mean, he could be in the conversation for sure.
If he can keep up, if he can get 9 sacks in 9 games and finish the year with 18 sacks as a D tackle, that would be insane.
I think you might have to give it to him for that.
He's not going to get it, though, because the Giants are going to be terrible. The Giants are going to have, 5 wins.
I mean, yeah, but it's an individual award, so...
Yeah, it is an individual award, but, I'm saying that they won't give it to him because the Giants as a whole are going to be terrible.
So it's probably just going to be TJ Watt then because the Steelers are good and he's good.
Him, maybe, yeah. Trey Hendrickson, Will Anderson, maybe Chris Jones.
If the Bengals go on a run, Trey Hendrickson, maybe. Because he has actually had probably his best year in the league so far this year on an individual
Not Trey
level.
McBride.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I don't know. The defensive one's a little bit more quiet. I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's not as overarching as the offense player.
in 4 of Hendrickson's 9 games, he has not recorded a sack. And
Yeah,
then
he's had
4
games where
against the
he's
Raiders,
But he's
2
had like
against the
4 or
Browns, 2
3
against the
in those
Giants,
games.
2 against the Chiefs, yeah. But he hasn't had many tackles either. He also had a forced fumble against the Raiders. Holy crap.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he had a
completely
day
different
against the
That was
Raiders.
a whale of a game. Wow.
Yeah, he had a really good
Yeah,
game.
they destroyed them. Yeah, Joe
he
Burrow threw
was,
5 touchdowns as well. So,
Not a
and he
single
was
one
like
of them was a
furious
Jamar
after the
Chase, too.
game.
but yeah, they just wrecked him. All right, this one's a little bit more obvious. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Jaden
There's
Daniels.
Daniels.
only one name that you can say.
It's Jaden Daniels.
It's Jaden Daniels. I don't even think this is worth a discussion.
It's not.
It's going to be Jaden Daniels.
I will
Unless
say
he
I did predict
hurt.
Jaden Daniels. I did predict this at the beginning of the year. I said Jaden
Who
Daniels.
did I take the dumb route and take Caleb Williams? I probably did. I can't remember if I did.
Or maybe you said
took
you might have
Caleb
said
Williams.
Marv.
Oh, I might have said Marv. Yeah, he has just not shown up at all.
Not his fault.
No, Kyler doesn't get on the ball.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
But I mean, shout out to this rookie class. They've been really good. Caleb's been playing really well. Bo Nix has had a solid year. Malik Neighbors has just been insane. Brock Bowers has been insane. Brian Thomas has been really good. Mar's been okay, but he's kind of heating up. Drake May, I mean, he's only played 2 or 3 games. He's been really good. So a lot of rookies stepping up this year. It's been
Jaden Daniels is by far the guy, though.
But yeah, Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's got the Commanders in playoff position. He's just
he's got the Commanders in 1 seed contention, dog. Like
this is almost like a CJ Stroud Texans turning around type of deal here.
It is. This is an open and shut case.
Yeah, for sure. Now the next one we're going to go to, I also don't know about.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I have no clue.
Vegas odds has Jared Verse.
Yeah, I think it's Jared Verse.
I
will say, I've got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in here as well.
Yeah,
both
I guess he's been decent.
Cooper DeJean over the past couple weeks has looked like a Swiss Army knife for the Eagles.
Yeah, he's looked really good.
Yeah.
I will say I am kind of disappointed. Not kind of. I'm very disappointed that Laiatu Latu is just like done very little this year. I think I'm watching the tape of his. Like, it's not. It's more so unlucky that he's not getting QB pressures than it is his own like inability. But like he's like second in the league among rookies in like pressure win rate, so the sacks are gonna come, but like he has not had as much of an impact on the defensive line as I would have liked to see from the 15th overall pick, I think it was. But yeah, I don't know why it's not showing me Jared Verse's stats. Oh, here maybe.
I got
3.5 sacks for Jared Verse. Pass deflection.
Yeah. The defensive rookies haven't been like insane as like the offensive rookies have.
Yeah, no, I don't even know like on this one.
Yeah, but it's probably Jared Verse. He's been playing a lot, and it was really between him and Latu, and Latu hasn't done a whole lot, so it'll probably go to him. But it's a weaker defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy. What about Coach of the Year? What are we thinking about Coach of the Year?
Coach of the Year? I went with Kevin O'Connell for Minnesota. It was between him, Dan Quinn, and Jim Harbaugh for me. I went with Kevin O'Connell because every one of us, as soon as J.J. McCarthy went down for the year, we're like, oh, the Vikings are going to be terrible. Like, they have zero chance. And now I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings, and they are firmly in playoff contention. They've definitely cooled off a little bit, from their red hot start to the season, but I mean they're still 6-2. You know, they're a very good team. And I
My
mean, yeah,
first instinct wanted to put Dan Campbell, but I mean that's just an obvious pick.
yeah, but it's like everyone knew the Lions were going to be good. You know,
Yeah.
so I
But did
don't
they
know.
know they
We
were going to
didn't.
be this
Yeah,
good?
this good. No, I don't think anyone saw
I
that
don't know. I
coming.
mean, you could probably put. You could probably put Dan Quinn up there. I mean, I don't think any of us thought the Commanders were going to be even close to this good at all.
No,
And he's doing this with a rookie quarterback.
I could see the Commanders coming out and being like a good team, like the day before the season, more than I could see Minnesota, just because Minnesota lost a lot of guys.
Yeah,
And they're
but
an aging
they've
team.
also got a rookie quarterback too, though.
No, I mean Minnesota went in with Sam Darnold as
Yeah,
their
but at least he's not a
quarterback.
rookie.
He's not, but I mean, I think going into the year, we all thought Jaden Daniels was already going to be better than Sam Darnold, and the fact
Yeah,
that Sam
I think I
Darnold,
had the Vikings only winning 4 games. So
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
I guess
saying.
you can go with Kevin O'Connell. I like Kevin O'Connell. I think he is a pretty good
He's a
coach.
good
So
head. He's a very good head coach.
yeah, I mean that's probably a pretty good pick. That's probably a safe bet, just looking at what they've done. But also, they have definitely cooled off a little bit. So I don't know. It really depends on the back half of the season here. But I guess probably Kevin
It'll
O'Connell.
probably end up going to Dan Quinn, just because I think the Commanders have a higher chance of winning their division than the
They're going to
Vikings do.
sustain more success than the Vikings.
Yeah, but I think I would pick Kevin O'Connell right now.
Sure, yeah, I really like Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a great coach, and what he's done this year has been phenomenal. But for me, it's Dan Quinn. I mean, taking a Commanders team that won 4 games last year, and the Commanders historically have been horrible. I think all of us had them around 5 to 6 wins, and they've already surpassed that. Um,
By far.
oh yeah, they're already at 7 wins.
They're probably going to win the
And that,
division.
yeah, they'll
We'll
probably win
see.
their division. So I mean, I think you got to give it to him. And a lot of us even question that hiring as well because he had a rocky time in Dallas and then in Atlanta. So we were all kind of questioning the fit of that hire, and he's been really good so far. So
Worked
I
out
would
really
give the
well.
edge to him. But I do like Kevin O'Connell. He's been phenomenal, and he's kind of definitely taken that Vikings team higher than we all expected.
Yeah, for sure. It's been very impressive to see what he's been able to do with the Vikings with just the situation that they've been in.
Yeah.
But their DC has worked wonders as well because the Vikings defense has been one of the best in the league.
Flores.
Brian Flores has revived his career.
I mean, he can't win Coach of the Year, but I mean, he's done a really great job this year with that Vikings defense.
Yeah, he's an integral part of that team. All right, let's move on to what's the most surprising team or player halfway through the season? What's been the biggest surprise of the season?
I think just right off the bat, I mean, the biggest surprise has to be the Vikings throughout the first half of this year. I mean, the Commanders also, but I had the Vikings winning 4 games going into the year. So, I mean, and every week it's like, okay, surely they're going to, this is where their true colors are going to start showing. And, I mean, they've only lost 2 games this year. So, the Vikings are probably the most surprising team. I'm going to let you
If
guys
you don't
talk
have a
about
player,
the team and let me think about player.
you don't have to have a player.
Yeah,
team or player,
team or player.
whatever you want.
Yeah, Vikings definitely the most surprising team to me though, because I had them just being awful this year. They were just I think I only had like the Giants and the Titans worse. So they've been very surprising.
Yeah. Nick, do you want me to go or you?
I went with the Commanders as my most surprising team because I had them at 4 wins. I was the lowest on the Commanders and Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn out of all of us. And they are the Texans of this year. They're going to sweep a bunch of awards. And they're first in their division, which the Vikings are not. And that was the tiebreaker for me between the two teams. I also think the Commanders' success is going to be more sustainable over the second half of the year than Minnesota's is, but we will see. I went with the Commanders. I also gave a couple other teams in here. I had the Chargers as a surprise of the year because the Chargers, like, they're 5-3, which is not like insane, but they're a good team, dude. Chargers.
That's
good.
my player. That's the player, J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins has been unreal this year.
Yeah, he's had a career resurgence. The Chargers are a good team. They've got a good defense, and they've got a really balanced running game. Justin Herbert's playing like he's playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. He's been phenomenal for the Chargers. So yeah, I just the Chargers being 5-3 is not all that shocking, but they've looked like a playoff caliber team through the first half of the year. So I have them in there. And then I also have the Broncos in there because I had them as the worst team in the NFL, and they've looked semi-respectable through the first half. So they did just get the doors beaten off them by an actually good football team, but they're definitely not going to be the worst team in the league. They're not even going to be close. So I have them in there as well.
My most surprising team this year has been the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into the season, I did not expect them to be. I did not expect them to be 6-2, leading the division, and for their offense to actually be putting up points. They put up 26, 37, 32 their last 3 games. They've actually looked like a good offense, rather than last year, where their offense was pretty horrible to watch. Obviously, the defense is elite. We all know that they're second in points per game. They're one of the best teams in creating turnovers as well. They're third in point differential. But yeah, they've been super good this year. Like I said, you go from Justin Fields, who brought you to a 5-2 record. You make a quarterback switch to Russell Wilson, and he's been playing really well so far, leading him to 7-2. They do have a really tough schedule here the next 9 weeks, but I think through the first 9 weeks, they've definitely been surprising. We all thought that the Ravens and the Bengals would be right up there. The Ravens obviously are, but we all had the Steelers kind of at the back end of that division, and they've actually looked like a legitimate team. They're not just getting carried by their defense. Their offense has been pretty solid, and it pains me to say that the Steelers are actually a good team this year, but they are.
Yeah, they've earned their record for the first time in about 5 years, I would say. They look good. They're probably going to be a playoff team in the AFC. I would be shocked if I know their back half of their schedule is very difficult, but I would be shocked if they just completely collapse and miss the playoffs entirely.
I also want to shout out the Buffalo Bills, because obviously they have Josh Allen, who's a phenomenal player, but I thought after their defense getting decimated and losing Stephon Diggs, I thought it was going to be a tough road for them this season. Yeah. This was kind of going to be a wash of the season, but they're 7-2, and they're going to more than likely win their division, because that division isn't very good. So they'll be a top 4 seed, and they actually look really, really good. So I didn't expect them to be this good.
I think Garrett Wilson should get a shout out here too, because
he's been great.
He's been really good this year. Even with Devontae Adams coming there, he's still been great. So I think that he should get a little bit of a shout out, especially after making that catch, the jump man catch. That was probably one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I know we're not talking about. Wait, no. I didn't put in play of the year, but I was going to say that catch was play of the year.
That's got to be it.
It's not. It's the Commanders' Hail Mary at the end of the game against the Bears. That has to be play of the year. And I don't think
that's probably a close second.
Yeah. Definitely.
The backwards hurdles in there too, probably.
Yeah, backwards hurdles in there too. There's been a lot of absurd plays, but I don't think the Commanders' Hail Mary is going to be topped this year.
No, yeah, that was
that was just absurd.
All right, who's been your most disappointing player or team? Who's been
Bengals.
disappointing first?
I mean, to be full on honest with you, the Bengals.
Um,
Fair.
for me, the Bengals weren't even in my honorable mentions. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars as my most disappointing
Yeah,
team.
they've been pretty
It
bad
was
too.
it was either between them or the Jets. The difference is I feel like the Jets have shown flashes and the
Mm-hmm.
Jaguars have been in complete disarray this
I think the
entire
Jets
year.
can honestly still get things turned around. The Jags are done. The Jags are in contention for a top 3 pick. They are
Yeah.
just awful.
And the thing is, the Jags have talent on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like they have one of the worst rosters in football. Josh Hines Allen's a very good edge rusher. I still think Trevor Lawrence, I've come to accept that he's not going to be the franchise savior that we all thought he would be, but I still think you can win with a good roster around him.
I think Trevor Lawrence is like a Jared Goff level quarterback. Like,
Yeah,
he's not going to be a franchise altering quarterback, but if you get him a good team, he's going to be good.
but like Christian Kirk's now out for the year, and even before that, he wasn't doing anything. Gabe Davis
Yeah.
has been objectively awful. Doug
Could
Peterson's
have
been
told you that
one of the
was
worst
going
head
to
Brian
coaches in
Thomas has
football.
been an upside for
Yeah,
sure, but
he's been the only bright spot in
Travis
this Jags
Etienne,
team.
what in the world is up
Yeah,
with that?
he's fallen off a cliff. Like the Jags as a whole, I had the Jags as like 9-8. I didn't have them as a playoff team, but I definitely had them as a respectable playoff contender. They have just been completely just in complete disarray. And I have not once thought the Jags are going to turn it around and look like a competent football team at any point in the year. So
Yeah, the
they
Jags are really, really, really
they
bad.
are my most disappointing team of the year.
I mean, to be honest with you, I just said the Bengals because I had really high expectations for these guys going into the year. I mean, I thought that they were going to make a Super Bowl push.
I did not. I thought they would be a playoff team, and that would be it. And
You're by far the lowest on them out of all of us. So, and you always have
well,
been.
they might not even be a playoff team.
They aren't. So that's why by far the Bengals. And this defense is just putrid. And I don't even know why. So, definitely the Bengals. There really hasn't been any Sunday that I've watched the Bengals and been like, dude, this is great. Like I'm feeling good about this. Like every single time I watch the Bengals, I'm just like, these guys suck.
I don't know. They look pretty solid against the Raiders. I mean,
It's the Raiders.
It's the Raiders, so who cares? But
Everybody.
Even
so
Joe Burrow was furious after that game. And they put 41 points up, and he was just fuming after that performance.
You threw 5.
Yeah, I have been like unbelievably disappointed with the Bengals this year, personally. I had way higher expectations for this defense. I thought that the defense was going to actually be pretty serviceable again with guys like Geno Stone and, Dax Hill, Jordan Battle. I thought they were all going to be at least decent. I have been unbelievably disappointed with the Bengals.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree with all of your guys' teams. But I'm gonna my team is to be a little bit different. I'm gonna go with the Dallas Cowboys.
they were also
That's
in my
fair too.
mentions, yeah.
I mean, we all knew that the Dallas Cowboys probably weren't going to be crazy this year just because they sat on their butts and didn't make any moves. But I mean, they're allowing the 5th most yards per game. They're allowing 360 yards a game. And their offense is in the bottom half of the league in points. They're averaging about 21 points a game. And you're losing Dak Prescott now, which is out of their control, obviously. But I mean, you look at that team. I mean, you have Dak, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Jalen Tolbert, who's been good. You have a decent offensive line. You have Jake Ferguson, and then on defense, I mean, you got Micah Parsons, who has been a little banged up. But this team should be better than 3-5. They're one game over the New York Giants, and the Giants have been objectively horrible. They're 3-5, and it doesn't seem to be any better now with Dak being out for a extended period of time. I don't think that's really going to go up a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, I know I know we weren't as high on this team going into the season, but I don't think any of us expect them to have 3 wins going into week 10. And yeah, they've just looked bad this whole season. Dak Prescott has regressed. He's played like how he did 2 years ago, where he led the league in interceptions. He has not played well. They do not have a running game whatsoever. Their running game is a bunch of aging, ancient running backs who were good in the early 2010s and are no longer good. I didn't Zeke. He was like a healthy scratch because he just didn't show up or something like
Yeah,
that the other day.
yeah, he's checked out.
Yeah. So and it's bad when you zoom into Dak Prescott and he says we effing suck. Like that's when you know it's bad.
They do.
So,
And it's not going to get better for
Cowboys.
Dallas either. If they
No.
put Dak on IR, which Jerry
Which it
Jones
looks like
said
he's
is
heading to
a
IR.
likelihood, their next
he
4
will.
games are Eagles, Texans, Commanders, Giants.
Yeah.
Like, and then after that, they got the Bengals on Monday night. So for their next 5 games, if they don't have Dak Prescott, they lose. Like
Yeah.
they lose those games, so they might be going full
Even
on
with
tank
Dak
mode.
Prescott, those are all very losable games.
Yeah. Even with Dak,
Yeah.
they could lose all those games, but without Dak, they're definitely losing all of those games. So yeah, it is like they might be going full on tank mode, which might be the best thing for the Cowboys to
Yeah, they
reinvigorate the rest of
suck
that team.
very. They
Yeah.
suck.
And they
very
just made
bad.
a questionable trade, which we didn't talk about, but it
Yeah.
was a little
How
questionable.
about getting Jonathan Mingo for more than the Chiefs traded away for DeAndre Hopkins? What is what is Jerry Jones doing? Like
I
honestly,
genuinely
what is he
question
doing?
what he's doing.
I think he's just just putting his team into the ground.
But why? Why would you ever do that? Like why?
I don't know.
Yeah. Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Maybe he doesn't know what's going on. He probably doesn't. I'm not sure.
He'll
they're a mess,
he'll come on our
and
pod
it's not
next
gonna
week
get
and
any better.
like scold us too, like you did to that one reporter a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
for,
it's like,
for
well, hey, you
criticizing
have
the
no.
team that's been objectively bad.
Yeah, it's like they've been terrible, and he has been also terrible since the last. First, he's been terrible for he's been terrible for the last several years solely for the fact that he hasn't fired Mike McCarthy yet. Why is he employed by the Dallas Cowboys? And then on top of that, they didn't make a single move in the offseason. Like, that's Bengals-esque.
They
brought
Zeke back. They brought Zeke back. What are you talking about? They made
that really
They're
moves
going
the needle.
all in by re-signing Ezekiel Elliott and trading for Jonathan Mingo when the season's already lost.
I think they think that Zeke is still like 2016 Zeke.
Yeah. Like, this franchise is just an absolute train wreck. I don't know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, it's bad. It's rough.
This logo isn't doing much better right now. I tell you.
Well, neither is the one that me and Evan wear, but
at least you all have.
These guys are playing well, but their team sucks.
At least you guys have like something to watch the second half of the year.
That's true.
There's until Anthony Richardson's the starter again, I completely checked out. I don't care.
And even if and when he is the starter, they're still going to be bad. So
they're still probably not going to be a great team, but at least we can see if he progresses over the back half of the year. But no, they don't. They don't want to put a project quarterback in to have him improve.
Well, hey, what's worse? What's worse, Nick? Think about it this way: what's worse, sitting your quarterback behind a veteran quarterback who can probably learn and kind of progress like through practice and on the bench and stuff like that, or having a team that has a good quarterback and a good receiver and literally nothing else for the foreseeable future? What's worse?
Two sides of the same coin. It's not looking great either way.
Because the Bengals,
Anthony Richardson is not going to learn anything from watching Joe Flacco throw picks and misreads for the rest of the year. He's not. Joe Flacco's he sucks.
Well, hey,
he looked awful yesterday or on Sunday.
Well, hey, the Bengals, the way they've set themselves up they're going to be running Burrow and Chase against 11 guys on both sides of the ball for the foreseeable future. So
Sometimes it's all
I
you
don't know.
need. That
It's
can
just
win
not,
games.
though. We've seen that this year. It's just not.
All right, let's do some Week 10 predictions, shall we? I didn't get a chance to look and see how we did this past week, but
I hit 11 I hit 11.
Let me
I did.
there you go.
see what
I haven't
I
looked
did.
at
I'm not
mine,
sure.
so but
Not
I'm
sure what it
assuming we
was.
probably did decent. But I could put those in. But speaking of the Bengals, they play on Thursday night in Baltimore.
Yay.
For context, Evan, I went 13-2 on my
Oh,
predictions.
dang. There you go.
So,
Evan, where
Also,
are
context to
the
this
standings
game.
at?
I don't know. I haven't put them together yet. I'll put them together.
I know I was in first last week, and
Yeah,
there's
you were
no
in
way
first.
anyone did better than 13-2. I would be shocked.
No, I
if
hit
someone
11.
Did better
That
than
was
13-2.
Yeah, I'll get those together after this. Context for this Bengals Ravens game. The last time they had a game on prime time, I think it was Thursday night, against the Ravens. That's when Joe Burrow blew out his wrist.
That was last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Baltimore,
So,
too.
So it's the exact
Hopefully
same.
this game will be not put the nail in the coffin of their season. But it might. Well, who knows?
Well, who are you picking?
I'm picking the Ravens because that Derrick Henry's going to run for 150 yards. Although I said that when they played. No, you know what? It's going to be a close game because the Bengals always play to their level of competition.
They do.
Except for the Eagles for some reason. But a divisional game, I think it'll be close, but I think Derrick Henry is going to have a monster game. So, and the Ravens are at home, so I'm going to pick Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens on this one. I have zero faith in the Bengals. This year's broken me.
Yeah, I'm going Ravens as well. I know that last game the Bengals should have won, but I don't know if they are going to be able to replicate that performance. T. Higgins is not on track to play as far as I
What
believe.
else is new?
And you obviously there's some injuries to the secondary. Eric All is out for the season. So they've just been getting hit by a lot of injuries. And at home, in Baltimore is always tough. And the Ravens have just looked even better since that Bengals game. So, but it's going to be a good game. It always is. But I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens on this one. Then we have probably the worst game of the season. This is the Giants play the Panthers at 9:30 in Germany. I can tell you with 100% confidence I will not be up watching this football game. But, yeah.
I might be up to watch the second half of this.
There's a 0% chance I'm watching this game. And this is a tough one to pick because both these teams, you know what? It's not that tough. I'm taking the Giants here. The Giants have a respectable defense and a very good defensive line. The Panthers they have nothing. There's not a single thing to like about this Panthers team.
Hey, listen, Bryce Young had his best game as a pro last week.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out Bryce Young for winning his first game. I know we have said a lot of stuff about his play and the Panthers as a whole this year, but I do feel happy for him because he genuinely looked like ecstatic that he finally won a game. So as a person,
he looked like,
I feel good for him.
He looked solid.
And he didn't look terrible.
Points. Yeah,
he looked fine.
He looked like a respectable NFL quarterback at points.
I know we've given him a lot of crap.
Maybe it was good for him to get benched. It could apply.
Take notes.
I was going to say it could apply to another team. It might be good for him to have gotten benched for a second there.
Our head coach said that Joe Flacco is the starter for the rest of the year. So, don't know.
Did you pick the Panthers or the Giants?
I'm taking the Giants because the Giants stole the Panthers' best player last offseason in Brian Burns. So, I'm going to be picking the Giants in this game.
I'm also going with the Giants. They haven't been great offensively, but defensively, they've been pretty good. Defense line's really good. They got Malik Neighbors. Tyrone Tracy's been really good. We'll see how if Daniel Jones can get the ball to them. But I think the Panthers are they're like 99% sure they're the worst defense in the entire league. So
They are.
Next up we got Broncos at Chiefs. This one could be good.
Chiefs.
Yeah, I
just-
can't think against the Chiefs.
I'm just
ever.
sick of them.
They just continuously win.
Tired of them, dude.
They can't lose, so they're
If
going to
they
win.
lose, it's not going to be to the Broncos at home. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm going Chiefs. They're going to be 9-0.
Crazy.
Unreal. Next up, we got Steelers at Commanders. This should be a fun one.
Now, this I think
versus
is going to be.
offense.
I was going to say, I think
Great
this is going to be a
defense
very
versus
good
great
game.
offense.
But, here's kind of what is bouncing around in my head here. I don't think the Commanders have a very great defense. The Steelers have a very good defense and a pretty serviceable offense. I think the Steelers are the better all-around team. That's kind of my thought, but this was, I don't know, it's a tough one to pick, though.
I will be going with Pittsburgh in this one. They're coming off a bye. Like you said, I think they're more well-rounded of a team. I think Mike Tomlin's still a better head coach than Dan Quinn, even though Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury are very good. I think the Steelers are out to prove a point as well. They haven't. I'm gonna double check their schedule, but I don't think they've really beaten. Yeah, they beat the Falcons before the Falcons got into gear, and they've beaten the Chargers, but they haven't really beaten an upper echelon team playing at the peak of their powers yet. So I think they're going to be out to prove a point. I think they have had a bye week to prepare for this game. I think that TJ Watt and the Steelers defense will give Jaden Daniels looks he hasn't seen before. And I think the Steelers will win a closer, low-scoring game in Landover, Maryland.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts as well. So I'll be rolling with the Steelers.
Yeah, I'll go Steelers too because Jaden hasn't played phenomenal against great defenses, and I think I don't think their offensive line is still like great. Like their offensive line is like okay. And TJ Watt obviously is a huge factor, and their defense is very good. But I think this should be actually a really good game. I could definitely see the Commanders pulling it out. If their defense can just get a couple of stops and their offense can move the ball how we've seen that they are able to, I think the game definitely could swing. But I'm going to give the edge to the Steelers just slightly, even though the Commanders are projected to win. Next, we got Vikings at Jags.
Vikings and Jags.
There's always you're gonna call me crazy for this. I'm gonna take the Jaguars in this game. I listen. They could have beat the Eagles on Sunday. I was shocked that they were even in that game. That game was a lot closer than the lot of like the stats would indicate. They were driving down the field with a chance to win the game, then Trevor Lawrence threw a pick. I think they're playing with a bit of desperation right now. I think Doug Peterson's trying to keep his job, and they're going to try to turn their season around. It's not going to go well, but there's always one result every week that's just random. I'm going to take the Jaguars to be that random team this week.
As Weaver's yawning, he's still pondering his pick. I'll go with the Vikings. The Jags, they've almost snuck out a couple of wins, but Trevor Lawrence has been playing terrible, and against that Brian Flores defense that has been really good. I think that they're going to be too much for the Jags and that offense that has really struggled this year in all facets.
Yeah, my first gut pick was the Vikings, so I'll probably just stick with that. I mean, they're just objectively the better team, but I mean, Nick's right though,
Yeah, it's just a random game. All right, next up we got NFC South matchup: Falcons at Saints.
Falcons.
Falcons.
The Saints are
Falcons,
arguably the worst team in the NFL right now.
And the
I
Falcons
doubt
are
Chris
good.
Olave plays.
Yeah, and the Falcons are a good team. So, yeah.
Falcons are really good.
Yeah,
They're
Falcons
really
are
good
winning
team.
this game. Not a tough pick.
Yeah, Falcons. This one should be a good one. 49ers Bucks in Tampa.
I will be taking the 49ers. CMC is probably going to end up playing in this game.
He is
Yeah.
returned to practice.
Yeah, so I expect him
Yeah,
to
I'll
play in this
probably take
game.
the Niners here.
I'm not quite sure if he's going to be full CMC in this game. They'll probably ease him back into it, but I think the Niners are coming off a bye. They're healthier than they have been, and they need to win this game because they are third in the division. They are half a game back of the Cardinals, who are currently winning the NFC West at 5-4, which is wild. But yeah, I think this is where the 49ers kind of kick things into high gear.
Yeah,
and they'll come out on top in this game.
Yeah, I do also want to say though that I think if the Buccaneers had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, it might be maybe a little bit.
Agreed. I'd probably take Tampa.
Yeah,
if they had those two guys.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that because unfortunately they don't. So I'm going to take the 49ers here.
Yeah, I'm also going to go 49ers. Even with the injuries on offense or defense, just they're really good. CMC's coming back, which should help. I don't know exactly if he's going to be on a snap count or what's all going to be going on with that. But I think Juwan Jennings should also play. I'm not 100% sure on that. But coming off the bye week, they had a whole week to get healthy. Debo's still there. Brock's been good. And yeah, I mean, the Bucks almost pulled out a game against the Chiefs on Monday night. But I think this is going to be a really good game, but I'm going to give the edge to the 49ers on this one. Then we got Bills-Colts in Indianapolis.
This is going to be a home booing session of a lifetime. I hope you guys are ready for this. If you want something to watch, like before the games kick off, I want you to tune into Lucas Oil Stadium when the team comes out. They're going to. I saw a poll by one of these Colts Twitter accounts I follow. So it was like, who would you rather have as a starter between Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco? The poll got over 20,000 votes. 92% of them said Anthony Richardson. And they're sticking with Joe Flacco. I have never seen this. I have never seen a fan base so unifiably angry at the ownership and the head coaching than I'm seeing right now.
The fans don't run the team, though. I will just point that out.
The team is being run into the ground right now. The season is being openly punted currently. The Bills are going to win. The Bills are going to win this game. You know, I could see the Bills coming out as a bit of a lackluster performance after an emotional win against the Dolphins. They've also got a 4-game lead in the AFC East now, halfway through the year, which is Patriots-esque. But the Bills are just the better team. Josh Allen will make a couple legacy plays late in the game. They'll probably win like 24-14 or something.
Yeah, I'm taking
I'm going with the Bills. Shouldn't be much of a contest.
Yeah, no.
Patriots-Bears in Soldier Field.
I will say this. I'm not quite sure why the Bears have not fired Matt Eberflus.
I also agree with that.
I don't know why they didn't fire him after last season.
Yeah, they should have fired him.
I also agree with that.
But
I'm still going to have the Bears, though.
They're going to have their third straight rookie quarterback have 2 coaches in their first 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and obviously the last 2 didn't work out for that well.
They need to figure out how to hire a coach who doesn't suck. That needs to be something that they figure out how to do.
The Bears are the Bears are the Bears, so you know.
I
will be taking.
I'm probably still going to take them in this game, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, at least they've got good defense.
Yeah, their defense has been really good, and the Patriots have been not good. But shout out Drake May for his phenomenal touchdown at the end of the game. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he scrambled around for
I did see that
30 seconds, threw it while getting hit to Ramondre Stevenson. That was a great play.
If it wasn't for Drake May, then this pick would be way easier because Drake May has been playing well, but the Patriots are really bad.
Yeah, outside of Drake May, the Patriots have nothing. So
Yeah.
No. All right. Next up, we got Titans Chargers.
give me the
Titans.
Chargers.
Yeah, give me the Chargers on this one. Titans suck.
I'm gonna go Chargers as well. Justin Herbert's been turning it up recently. That defense is obviously elite. They've been really good so far. So Eagles Cowboys. This one should be
No, it won't.
would have been fun with
Yeah.
Dak maybe, but not
It's
anymore.
now
Eagles.
it's not. Yeah, the Eagles.
Eagles have been turning it on recently too.
Eagles. Yeah, they have been turning it on. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts are kind of like a lesser version of Lamar and Derrick Henry. And yeah, they've actually been playing pretty well so far. And Cooper Rush is not going to have the Linsanity run he had a couple years ago when he was their starter for a little bit. Jets Cardinals in Arizona.
I would not be
This is
shocked
actually a
to
tough
see
one.
I would not be shocked to see the Jets win this game at all.
I really liked how the Jets played last week. I thought they played a very good game last week.
They played.
They
Yeah,
definitely
played
did.
good.
How did they not?
They played good. They had a good game.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of questions with the Jets, though. But this is a hard game, actually.
This was one of the hardest games to pick, I think, because the Cardinals are somehow doing well, but I don't think they're that good.
No, I don't think the Cardinals are that good either, but they keep finding ways. I mean, they 29-9 against the Bears is like the Cardinals just keep finding ways to win close games. And who knows? They might. I think I'm gonna take the Cardinals in this game. I think they are getting something going there with Marv. And they got to know this is a big game because they're first in the division by half a game. They got to win games like these if they want to potentially shock the NFL world and actually win the NFC West. So I'm gonna take them in this game. I think Marv will have a monster performance
on Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner hasn't been playing that well this year at all. He's definitely regressed this season.
This is a tough one, man.
I'll go. I'm going to go with the Jets. I like how the Jets played last week against the Texans. The Cardinals, they've been better, but their defense still isn't great. I think Aaron Rodgers starting to click with Garrett Wilson a lot. Their running game's getting it together. The defense isn't great, but I think it's going to be serviceable. I'm going to give the edge to the Jets. I like them. I like them a lot more after last week. I mean, big win on Thursday night against the Texans. I think the offense is starting to come together there a little bit more, and I'm going to give the edge to them.
Yeah, I think we have the same feeling on the Jets, Evan, because my first gut pick was the Jets. It was a tough one, but same reasons, though. I said it a couple seconds ago. The Jets played a really good game last week. I was very impressed with how they came out and played last week against a better team in the Texans.
I think the Texans are kind
of
the
Cardinals. I think they're better than the Cardinals. Yeah, they are. They're better than the Cardinals.
In a sec.
So I'm going to probably take the Jets on this one. I think they're going to start to. I think they're going to start to pick it up here.
All right. Speaking of the Texans, they play on Sunday night against the Lions at home.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game.
Not fraudulent. I do not. Personally, I think there are real issues with the Texans, in particular that offensive line. Their offensive line is a disaster. It's one of the worst in the league right now.
Their line has
a major problem. And here's the thing: is the Lions, the Texans' strength, I would say, so far this year has been their pass rush. Will Anderson's been very good, and Daniil Hunter has been a very good compliment to him. But the Lions have the best offensive line in football, and will win games however they feel like it. Whether it's running the ball down your throat, airing it out to, Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta, screen game, special teams. Like the Lions are just a buzzsaw right now, dude. And I don't think the Texans are a good enough quality of a team, top to bottom, to make this particularly competitive either right now. So I think the Lions will win. I think the Lions will win handily.
I picked the Lions as well, but I am higher on the Texans than you are. I still think the Texans are a very good team with C.J. Stroud and that receiving duo in Nico Collins, who is returning, I believe, and Tank Dell. And Joe Mixon's having a career year, so their pass protection has been a serious issue. That was evident against the Jets. Their pass protection has been pretty bad, but I still think I think they're still a good team. But I will be taking the Lions here because the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions as well. Nico Collins is probably a game time decision. We'll see if he plays. And yeah, that offensive line is a real issue without Diggs and potentially Collins. That offense isn't as great. Um, and yeah, I mean, the Lions are, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL. They've been just dominating teams on offense and defense, and I think it's going to continue again on primetime in Houston. All right, last game of the week, Monday night, we got Dolphins at Rams in SoFi.
I like the Rams a lot. The Rams have been picking it up. They got everybody back healthy now. I think the Rams could be I think they can make a run this year if everyone's healthy. I really like the Rams, so I'm going to take the Rams at home.
Is Puka good? He's good, yeah.
Yeah, he just punched somebody.
I know he got ejected in the last game,
somebody.
but yeah, he just threw a punch. That was it. I actually think this game will be close now that the Dolphins have Tua back. Their offense looked pretty solid against Buffalo. They just lost on a heartbreaker 61-yard kick from Tyler Bass that probably put the nail in the coffin for this year for Miami. I think it's too big of a hole for them to dig out of at this point. But I'm going to go with the Rams still. I think the Rams, much like the Cardinals, are kind of trying to make a push to actually win the NFC West because the NFC West might only get one team in this year, to be fully honest with you. If these teams don't win like 7 of their last 9 games, because the NFC has been very good this year. So I'm going to take the Rams. You know, they've got everyone back now. Dolphins defense has actually been good, especially against the pass. So I could see it being a lower scoring game. Maybe Kyron Williams has a couple touchdowns, and that's the difference. But I'll go with the Rams in this game.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this one. Since Tua's been back, their offense has been really good. Devon Achane's been a beast. Tyreek Hill is still getting into the swing of things. He hasn't been crazy, but they've been pretty good. I mean, they lost to the Cardinals by a field goal. They lost to the Bills by a field goal. They're 6 points away from having two wins and being a 4-win team rather than a 2-win team. And yes, the Rams have been playing really well with all the guys back healthy. I think this is going to be a really good game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Dolphins just because I think they've been playing really well. And I think this is going to be a great game, but I like the Dolphins a little bit better this week. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Kind of different style of episode than we've done the last couple of weeks. But we'll be back next week for talk about Week 10 predictions as always. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.